Israel and Turkey are restoring full diplomatic ties after years of discord. Both sides will reappoint ambassadors for the first time in 4 years. But the Turkish government says despite the thaw in relations, it won't be abandoning the Palestinian cause. Well, Recep Suda is live for us now in Istanbul. Recep, can you give us an idea of just how significant this is?
Well, the full restoration of the diplomatic relations between Ankara and Tel Aviv is quite a milestone in relations between the two countries. And this is coming after intense talks between the Israeli and the Turkish officials through the last year. So both countries have enough reasons to normalize the relations. And Israel is facing the regional threats. Turkey is facing the regional threats. Particularly, Israel is regarding Iran as a security threat and regards Turkey also to be a counterbalance to this threat. For Turkey, it is facing the threats from the East Mediterranean and particularly in Syria, and having the Israeli support in these fields is going to be beneficial for Ankara. This is Ankara's perspective. Also, on the other hand, we can see that there is less than a year to the presidential election in Turkey, and Turkish economy is struggling. So last year, Turkey has embarked on a diplomatic push to amend the ties with the regional rivals such as Egypt, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and Israel. So this normalization of the relations between Ankara and Tel Aviv should be taken or considered in this context. While there is less than a year to the presidential election, President Erdogan's priority is a recovery of the economy and putting good relations with these regional powers. He thinks that this is going to help the Turkish economy.
Just in regards to the timing, why now?
Well, to be honest, it's not a surprise for those who are following these issues. So the relations between Israel and Turkey got frayed in 2008 when Israel attacked on Gaza and killed more than 200 Palestinians. But it was the breaking point was the Israeli attack on Marmara Flotilla, which killed 10 Turkish citizens and injured several others. And right after that, both Ankara and Tel Aviv, they have withdrawn their ambassadors from the capitals, and the relations have hit at the lowest level of almost the entire history of both countries. But last year, both countries have embarked on a diplomatic push, and we have seen that in March, Israeli President Isaac Herzog was in Turkey, and then the Turkish Foreign Minister in May visited Israel. Then the Israeli Prime Minister came to Turkey in June, and this is a continuation of these talks and diplomatic efforts. So last time when the Israeli Prime Minister was in Ankara, both Turkish Foreign Minister and Israeli Foreign Ministers reiterated that they are going to appoint the ambassadors soon, and that was expected. So today we have seen that this decision has been taken by both capitals.
Recep Suda, thank you very much for that. Well, let's take a closer look at the background to the rift between the two countries. Relations were downgraded in 2010 after Israeli commandos killed 10 people when they stormed a Turkish vessel bound for Gaza. Then in 2018, both countries expelled each other's envoys in a dispute over Israel's use of deadly force against protesters in Gaza. And more recently, relations have improved. Last November, Turkey released an Israeli couple who'd been detained in Istanbul on spying charges. And Israeli President Isaac Herzog visited Turkey in May, calling the trip the beginning of a new era. Well, let's bring in Vabi Basan. He's an assistant professor and political analyst. He joins us via Skype from Istanbul. Thank you very much for joining the program. First of all, can we take it back a step? Can you give us just a little bit of context around why diplomatic ties were cut in the first place and just how that played out?
Well, actually, that was the diplomatic ties were cut since 2018 when Israel attacked over the demonstrators. Actually, they were protesting against U.S. embassy moving into Jerusalem and recognizing it as capital. Let's remember that over 60 people got killed as a result. And of course, we should also remember that towards the end of 2018, due to Turkey's efforts, international efforts, to stop this happening. So it came in a really bad time. So then, since then, Turkey and Israel did not have diplomatic relations. But of course, as you said earlier, that the Israeli president's visit to Ankara in March this year was a turning point in relations, because both leaders encouraged bilateral development or further development bilateral relations, and they signaled very strongly that the relations sooner or later would normalize, quote unquote. In my view, this is, as a citizen of Turkey, this is long overdue. And, you know, the relations between countries always have ups and downs, and certainly between Israel and Turkey. And, you know, as being in crisis is not eternal, friendship is not eternal too. So let's remember also last April, there was a scheduled visit to Cavusoglu's visit to Israel. That was delayed a bit, but there were like really concrete steps. So today, yes, it came as a surprise, as a, you know, in Turkey, I'm following social media as a shock, but in fact, it has a long history that actually two countries tried very hard to rebuild relations.
Okay, but what does Turkey get out of this?
Well, Turkey, I think, a very, very important country in the Middle East, and instrumental for peace and prosperity. Let's remember that mediating between, even in the past, Israel and Syria, when things went really bad for Syrians. So, in fact, the relations, despite all these crises, continued. I remember last March when Herzog visited Ankara, the trade volume was $8.5 billion between the two countries, and they said they wished to see that it goes over 10,000. So there is not only economic reason, in my view, but actually the good ties between the countries in the past benefited the region enormously. As a person, I traveled many times from Jordan passing to Israel. I benefited, and you can see it is very, very important. And it was upsetting to see these relations severely in the past. So it is going to certainly have economic benefits, no doubt about it. Tourism will flourish. More and more Israeli tourists will be coming. Trade and business volumes, and maybe military cooperation. But that, in my view, also signifies Turkey is kind of steadily becoming part of Abraham Accords signed between the US during the Trump administration and the Gulf states. And it seems it's really developing, and region has very high expectations. So Turkey being part of it will certainly contribute positively.
Thank you very much for your insight. That is Vehbi Basan from Istanbul.